Happy Friday. Welcome to the Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I'm Waiver Wire Queen. Today, I am going to recommend players you should consider adding via the Waiver Wire Week 17. That's right, y'all. It's time to start preparing for Week 17. And don't get it twisted. Some of these players I'm recommending you can use to finish up your opponent for Week 16. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like, comment, do all of that good stuff to help the podcast grow. And so you could stay ahead of your competition with the best in fantasy basketball. Let's jump right into it. First player I'm going to talk about today is Marcus Morris Sr. Got a chance to watch him last night. He played very well. He's been in and out of the lineup for the Clippers this season, but nonetheless, when he has played, he has produced for them. He can play the forward slot or the center spot. So you have flexibility with him. He's currently rostered at 53% in Yahoo leagues, which means there is still a strong possibility that he is available. 2 leagues I'm in Yahoo, he is definitely available, and I am considering picking him up. In a points-based league, he will get you between 23 and 25 fantasy points on a nightly basis. He is a really good ad. Keep in mind, he's not going to shoot a high percentage from the field. He's only shooting 41.5% from the field and 35% from threes, which is decent, even though you want to see your forward shooting percentage from the 3-point field around 37, 38. But nonetheless, he's averaging 15.3 points per game and 5 rebounds. So I look at him as a player to add in a points-based league. Now, when you look at the Clippers and all of the things they have going on, you got Kawhi out, you got Paul George out. Kawhi may come back this season, but that may be too late for fantasy basketball. And then Paul George may have surgery to end this season. We don't know yet. But then you have all of these other players who are playing very well. Zubac is out, so they can slide Morris Sr. at the center spot at times. And they have Amir, they have Mann, they have Batum, they have so many different players. So when you are considering Marcus Morris, keep in mind that there are some other players who may snatch up some of those minutes. But the fact that he has been consistent and he has played well when he has been given the opportunity and he's been healthy, he has produced. So I feel like he is still a good ad. So if you can find a player on waivers who's averaging 15 points and 5 rebounds and getting the minutes when they are on the court, you want to add them to help your team. And it doesn't have to mean that he is that player to help your team every night. You also have to consider your bench. It's not all about your starters all the time. You need bench players, and you should know that, considering all we've been through so far this season with injuries, players in the protocol, and load management. Let's talk about Monte Morris. Monte Morris, I've been talking about him all season long. He went on the list pretty much out in the protocol due to COVID. He returned and he wasn't playing as well. So Fakunda was snatching up some of those minutes because he was playing well. Monte Morris is looking like he is starting to get back to the Monte Morris going out, being on the protocol, being in the protocol and on the COVID list. So he's playing much better now. And he's the more reliable guard between him and Fakunda. And you also got to understand that Jamal Murray is still out. We don't know when he's going to return. So as long as Jamal Murray is out, Morris should have value. And then they have Porter Jr. out as well. So they're missing some of their key players, 2 of their key players, and they're going to need, other than the Joker to score. So you got Will Barton, who's helping too. But then you got Monte Morris, who is playing very well and helping out. He's rostered in 50% of Yahoo leagues. So he is still available. In a points-based league, he'll get you 21 to 22 fantasy points on a nightly basis. It was slightly higher before he went out. And I can envision that going up a little bit as he continues to get his conditioning right and get a little more comfortable again. Because being out for that extended period of time, kind of throw your game off. On the season, he averages over 12 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. And he is shooting a solid percentage from the field at 47% and over 37% from threes. So you're getting a solid player as a backup player. As long as Murray is out, I'll stress this, he has great value, okay? Let's be real. In a deep league, players like Monte Morris may be the difference between you winning and losing a week in fantasy basketball. And so as long as he is getting the opportunity and playing well and producing, you can utilize his services. And again, it does not have to be on a nightly basis. His value will continue to remain consistent as long as Jamal Murray is out. So check for Monte Morris. I think I need to be the spokesperson for Monte Morris. I'm always hyping him up. Kevon Looney, I'll say, forward/center with the Warriors. With him, he's only playing 21 minutes per game, but he is still able to average 7.6 rebounds on the season. So, for instance, and this is a short-term ad, if you need a center to get you 6-7 points, 7-8 rebounds, he can help your team. He's been very consistent with the 6-7 points, 7-8 rebounds all season long. Even though we all know the Warriors are loaded, they have like so much talent, he has still been able to produce and be reliable in a spot start role. So in a categories-based league, for instance, if you are lacking with the rebounds and you need someone to just help you out one night, he definitely can. Because just imagine if he was playing more minutes, how many rebounds he would be averaging per game. Probably would average 10 rebounds per game, because you figure only 21 minutes, he's averaging almost 8. Just imagine if he was playing more minutes. But nonetheless, he's only rostered in 37% of Yahoo leagues, which means 9 times out of 10, he's out there on the waiver wire waiting for you to utilize his services in a spot start. This is a short-term solution to whatever issues you may have, 1 or 2 games throughout the week. You got to think bigger than one day or the long term. Right now, you take it one day at a time, especially if you have a lot of players out or just not playing well. He's a guy who can help your team. He's going to get you between 19 and 21 fantasy points in a points-based league, which isn't bad for a guy who's only playing about 21 minutes. That's great value. And again, it does not have to be every night. And it doesn't have to be a player who's taken up a roster spot on your team for the whole season. Short term, think short term. And when I say short term, it can be for a game or two during a week, or it may just be a week. But he can help your team right now. And that's what we're looking for, players who can help our team. You may find that gem, which I don't think you're going to find that gem who's going to have value all season long. You're going to find players who are going to help you for periods of time. He's one of those players who can help you for periods of time. If you have some of your bigs that are out or just not living up to expectations, he can help you. Okay, but you got to realize it's a short-term situation, and you got to understand what short-term is. Short-term may be the 1 or 2 games. Short-term may be for a week, but he can help you, and you just got to monitor the situation. And he shoots over 54% from the field. And again, great value. I used him the other night, and he helped my team. Doesn't have to be every game. Sometimes you need a player just to fill in one game. You never know. Like, who knew Levine was going to be out tonight until they announced it? They announced it, so you make the adjustment. Could be a situation with one of your bigs. So you got to think a little different. Got to think a little bit outside the box and not just think, oh, I'm only picking up players who's going to help my team long term. No, sometimes you may pick up a player who's only going to help your team for that night, and he can help your team. Tre Mann is getting an opportunity, and guess what? He is showing that he deserves more playing time and can handle the opportunity. You got Aaron Wiggins and Julius Alexander out, and so Tre Mann is seeing an increased role, and he's playing well. I'm very pleased that he shoots 39% from threes, which is very good for a young player who really hasn't had much opportunity, but he's showing that he can shoot the ball. He's averaged 17 points and 2 steals over the last week, which means he's going to help your team. He's a short-term add. He's a player that you can add in DFS tonight, and his salary is not going to cost you much because he's not a player that has played a lot of minutes and produced a lot statistically. So his salary is going to be low, and he'll be one of those sneaky deep sleepers that'll help your team and probably win you some money in DFS, you know? He's rostered at 4% of Yahoo leagues. So take a chance on him. He's, again, not a long-term solution, but he's a player that maybe the difference between you winning or losing against your opponent during the week, especially if you have a lot of players with availability issues. We are trying to make sure that we have players available every night, especially in a points-based league, because the most important thing is points. Well, if you have 3 or 4 people out of your starting lineups, you're not getting any points, so you're most likely going to lose. So if Mann may come in there and get you 25 points just this week, hell, that is going to help your team. He's not a long-term solution, but he is a solution right now, and he's a low-key, sneaky solution that will help your team. Let's talk about Taurean Prince, who has been playing very well, getting the opportunity with the Timberwolves, and he's producing. D'Angelo Russell is out again, and Prince again has been given opportunities. Played very well over the last few games. Over the last week, averaging 13 and 6, which is very good. So you already know that he's going to score the ball and he's going to rebound the ball. He plays solid defense as well, and he is shooting good percentage from the field, 45.7% from the field and 39% from threes. Which, you know, when you think about him, the knock is he can't shoot. Well, he's shooting solid percentages, so he will be able to help your team. He's rostered at 10% in Yahoo League, so he's a player who can help you. If you're looking for help at the forward spot, whether that's a points-based league or categories-based league, he can help your team. He is getting the opportunity and he's producing. When you look for a player, first thing you need to see, is he available? He's available. Is he getting an opportunity? He's getting an opportunity. What is he doing with that opportunity? He's producing. So guess what? We want the player who's getting the opportunity and they are producing. And right now, Prince is starting to show some of that, and he can help your team. Again, this is not long-term. This is a short-term solution to a problem you may be having this week or tonight or week 17, because he's a great pickup week 17. Let's talk about Nicholas Batum. Big issue with him is he just simply hasn't been available much this season. He's been in and out of the lineup, so it's been hard to truly recommend him. Okay, he's been back for a few games. We say this all the time, and then he go out. He's been back for a few games, y'all, and he has played very well. Over the last week, he's averaging 12.5 points, and he is a player that you can rely on when he's healthy. He's going to, score some points, rebound the ball, steal the ball, get some assists. He's going to do a little bit of everything to help your team. And that's the type of player you want coming off your bench or helping you when you are short any given night. Because and right now, any night, anything is possible when it comes to players being available or just not being available. And again, he can truly help your team as long as he is playing. But keep in mind, again, like I mentioned with Morris Sr. early on, he plays for the Clippers. He plays a forward spot. They have several of them. They have a bunch of guys who have been playing well. Amir's playing well. Then you have Morris Sr. playing well. Man hasn't been consistent. He's been very inconsistent. So it's hard to say that you want to rely on him. And then they just have a bunch of guys playing the same position. So with Batum, minutes kind of up and down, 25 minutes should be the average for him, and he will help your team. Okay, so if you're looking for a forward and he is available, he can help your team, especially in DFS, because the salary is not going to cost a lot. When I look at DFS, I always look for these low-key players who I can get about 20, 25 points, and their salaries under 5,000. And he's a player who can help as long as he is on the court. And again, I don't look at him as a long-term solution because he's always in and out of the lineup. And then they have other players. He's another one of these guys who can help you right now as long as he is available. Again, availability is important. If I had to pick between Morris and Batum, I would prefer Morris because Morris is doing a little bit more and is playing more minutes and has been more available, in my opinion, than Batum. So if you had to choose between the two, then I would go with Morris. Let's talk about Royce O'Neale. He is on this list simply because Utah has some players who are hurt. So the opportunity should be and is there for Royce. The biggest issue with him, he's so inconsistent, which is why I cap his value off as short-term value, because he's always inconsistent. He'll have a few good games and then he'll fall off. A few good games, fall off. Well, he's having a few good games right now, but I'm going to give him an opportunity because there are players who are out and injured, and some players are not available for the remainder of the season. So he should be given more opportunity, right? But let's see what he can do with it. On the season, he averages 7.5 points per game, 5.1 rebounds, and 1.3 assists. He shoots very good percentages from the field, 49 from the field and 40% from threes. This guy would be a very good fantasy option off your bench if he was consistent. Again, with the inconsistencies, his productivity is capped. However, with recent injuries, he's a good player to give a chance. He's rostered in 43% of Yahoo leagues. And with his inconsistencies, he's going to score between 20 and 22 fantasy points. Just imagine if with this new opportunity of more minutes, he is consistent. Then you can see that those totals going up to maybe 25 fantasy points. Again, so check for Royce O'Neale because right now he has a great opportunity, and let's just see what he can do with it. The shooting percentages are where we would want them to be at. Let's just see if he is capable of producing with the increased role. Let's talk about Nicholas Claxton, center with the Nets. I've been talking about him during the preseason a few times during this season, in and out of the lineup with injuries. He went off the other night against the Kings, 29 points, 11 rebounds, 5 rebounds, 1 steal. He played his tail off. How many players typically do this and they're not talented? Kid is very talented, unfortunate in and out of the lineup because of the injuries. This is what I envision with him, and I'm expecting to see more of that as long as he remains healthy. He should have a big night tonight with James Harden out, and you already know KD is out, and there's players on that team who should be stepping up that haven't, like Brown, but Claxton is a very good option as long as he's on the court. Again, how many bigs are out here just blocking 5 shots, going off for 29 points and 11 rebounds? Not many. So you know the talent is there. You've seen some of that last season. Health is wealth. Availability is important. When he's available, he's playing very well. And with KD being out, you know that they need other players to step up, and he's a player who can step up. His season averages is 9.5 points, 5.7 rebounds, 1.2 blocks, and he shoots over 64% from the field. Over the last week, he's averaged 12.7 points and 7.3 rebounds and 1.7 blocks. I can envision his stats going up as his minutes increase a bit and he continues to play. So if you are able to pick up Claxton, pick him up. He's rostered at 34%, which means he is available. He is out there. And again, with the bigs, you already know how that situation is. There are bigs who are out. And guess what? When you have some bigs out, we're looking for another player, and he is a great player. I honestly feel because they tab Morris Sr. as a forward/center with the center tab. I feel like Claxton is the better ad because he's going to have more opportunity and should have an increased role because KD is out and then Kyrie's part-time and then Harden out, and there's not a lot of other players who are stepping up outside of Mills. So Claxton definitely is a must add. He's very much at the top of this list when you think of players to add week 17 who will produce as long as he's healthy. Health is wealth. Ayo, always got to talk about Ayo. He's only rostered at 56%. That should be much higher. I'll tell you tonight, with Levine being out, he's a great option in DFS, and if he is on waivers in your league, you pick him up. He has been elevated over Kobe White. Ball is out. Caruso is out. And they have a shortage of wings anyway. And Ayo is 6'4", very talented, and he's playing very well. He's shooting a good percentage from the field, 42% from threes and over 52% from the field. He's a player who is going to score the ball. He's going to rebound, and he distributes the ball very well. So you can expect a lot statistically from him. And then again, with Levine out tonight, he's definitely going to step up to the challenge. And you got to also realize when they have their big three out there, he is still able to produce. And that's the kind of player you want. So playing as well as he has, let's say, since January 15, he's averaged 12.54 points and 6.6 assists as the fourth or fifth option on a team. And again, he's shooting extremely well from the field, and he's only rostered at 56%, and he's starting. Right now, he is the starting point guard for the Bulls, and he's playing very well, and he should be added. He's a must-add until Lonzo returns. As long as Lonzo is out and he's playing very well, his value will be good. And he, again, is ahead of Kobe White. Most people thought it was going to be White. He's better than him, in my opinion. Right now, he's playing better. And again, tonight, definitely going to show up and show out for my Chicago Bulls. Y'all know I got to hype up any Bulls. Hey, yo, that's what I'm talking about. And you can expect him to produce. So if he's available in your league, pick him up, because it makes no sense for him to be rostered in 56% of leagues. I need to see that at 80 and up, considering how well he is playing. He's playing better than some of the guards that are rostered in some of these leagues. It's like, why is he still on your roster? Okay. Check for Ayo. Patrick Beverly is another player who has been consistent all season long, but he's only rostered at 30%. So I have to talk about him because he's playing very well. If you can find a player who averages 26, 27 fantasy points every night and they're on waivers, you've got a great problem, and you're going to add that player to your team. No reason for Beverly to be rostered at only 30%. And it's because, people, he can't shoot, he's not going to do much. Well, he's averaging 8.8 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1.1 steal. And he is a part of what they do. So he's a player that you can rely on. To me, he's more reliable than Monte Morris is, and a few other guys on this list, and a few other guys that people are rostering at a high percentage. He's doing better than say a Kemba Walker, a lot of players, and it's like 30% should be much higher. And if you can pick him up, and he could be a player who can sit on your bench and help your team. We have some guards that are out, and Beverly sitting on waivers, like, show me some love, because we got some guards out. I just said D'Angelo's out. Fox is out. Come on now. Gilgeous-Alexander is out. That means there's opportunity, and Patrick Beverly can help your team. So if you have any of those guys I just mentioned who are out, and again, Lonzo Ball as well is out, pick him up because he will help your team, and you already know that he's going to at least get you 26 fantasy points in a points-based league, because we want points. understand that he's not going to score 20, 30 points, but he's going to do a little bit of everything. He's going to help you out with points, rebounds, steals, assists. He's going to do it all. A lot of people don't really like him, but he brings it every night, and that's what you want. A player who's going to bring it every night, help your team win, so you can be in the championship, because that's all it really is about. So pick up Patrick Beverly. So that was my 10 players I'm recommending that you pick up this week on waivers. Now I'm going to recommend some other players who you should be checking for and consider picking up to help you going forward for several reasons. It can be because some players are out. It can be because they just have an opportunity and they're getting a chance and they're playing well. And we're going to ride the wave of the players who are playing well. Davion Mitchell has been given an opportunity because Fox is out. As long as Fox is out, Mitchell should have a role. Obviously, Tyrese is the guy, but Mitchell has been playing very well and holding his own. And so he's a player you can kind of look at him and kind of say, I may use him tonight. Doesn't have to be every night, but he's a player who can help your team. So I want to give you an idea of some other guys you can check for. Again, Kobe White as well. Ball is out. Caruso is out. And then, Levine, they're just trying to make sure things are good with him. Had to scare with the knee injury, so I understand it. So White should be able to help you as well, too. Reggie Bullock has been given the opportunity with the Mavs because Hardaway Jr. is out. And he's been playing very well. And, most people think, well, he can only shoot the three. I don't care if he shoots 5 or 6, 7, 8 threes. He hit a ball. That's going to be points for your team. And in a categories-based league, shoots a good percentage from three. So if he hits 5 or 6 of them, that's going to help your percentage. So he's a player you could look at both ways, both formats, because he is getting the opportunity and he is producing. As long as he produces, he's a player that you can look for. And again, Amir Coffey with the Clippers didn't have a good game last night. We don't care. He's been more consistent than inconsistent over the last month or so. Paul George is out, playing better than Mann. Just keep in mind, there's other players who are getting a piece of the minutes, right? You got Marcus Morris, senior, and then you got Batum, but I feel like he's playing much better than Batum, and he's healthier, and he's getting more minutes. So he's still a player you should be looking for. And again, don't be afraid with last night and the night before last. He didn't play very well. He only had 3 shot attempts last night. So you're not going to do much with 3 shot attempts. But again, as long as he plays well, it is getting the minutes. Look at him. Check for him. Herbert Jones, forward with the Pelicans, another player to check for. Maxi Kleber, forward/center with the Mavs, is definitely a player to check for as long as Porzingis is out. He has a bone bruise. He's not playing tonight. So he's a player I even added in a DFS team that I put together, and I'm crossing my fingers, y'all, that I can win tonight. He's a player I added, salary not that high, has played very well when called upon, when Porzingis has been out of the lineup. Another player, Devin Vessel, has been putting up some really good numbers lately. So he's a player you can check for, whether that is in fantasy basketball or DFS. He's a guard and he plays forward. So check for him. Serge Ibaka is a player that you can kind of look at and see what he's been doing because he's back. He's healthy. Zubac is out. As long as Zubac is out, Ibaka should have a role. He plays the forward and the center spot. With Ibaka, he's going to score. He's going to rebound. He's going to shoot a high percentage from the field. He's going to block some shots, okay? So he's doing a little bit of everything. And if he produces, take a chance on him. I feel like it's short term, though, because Zubac will return, okay? So keep that in mind. Darius Bazley is another player out there, forward with OKC. Keep in mind, he's not going to shoot a good percentage from the field. We already know that. That's fine. But he will score 12, 13, 14 points, somewhere within that vicinity, and get you 7, 8 rebounds. And that's not bad in a points-based league because, again, we want the points. And start looking at Damian Jones, center with the Kings. He has been given an increased role because some of the other guys are in and out of the lineup, and not producing as much. And I'm going to go to one of the guys. I had high hopes for him this year, but has been very inconsistent. And it happens, you know. But nonetheless, with Jones, he has played very well over the last few games. And I'm going to throw some of his statistics out there at you. And so he is seeing more minutes than Holmes right now. Holmes has been not that great as of late, and we're talking about several games. And Jones has been given the opportunity to play more minutes, and he has played very well. So he's a player that you can kind of start looking at and determine, hey, maybe I should look at this guy. Okay, he played 23 minutes the other night against the Warriors, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Not bad. Against BK, 27 minutes, 12 points, 8 rebounds. He's starting to get some more minutes. Again, just remember that he is coming off the bench, and he's a player that you just kind of want to see more. And if he continues to produce those numbers, then he's a player that you can look at the center spot, short-term spot start type situation. And Malik Monk, to me, is a great add as long as the king is out, because Monk, if we know one thing about him, is going to score the ball. And he's been shooting very, very good from the field this season, playing very well for the most part for the Lakers. So he's another player that you should be looking at like, okay, I want to be in the Malik Monk sweepstakes. All right, y'all. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave some comments about what players you have been adding or considering adding going forward. Also, keep in mind, you can check out some of the previous videos with other players that we have recommended that you add. A lot of those players are players you should consider adding as well. They're playing good, so you don't have to ignore those guys. So again, check out some of those previous videos to help you if some of these players that I mentioned today aren't available. Y'all have a great evening. Again, subscribe to the channel. Peace.
Thanks for listening to The Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to The Score for more fun and great advice on how to win at fantasy basketball. And if you've got comments or questions about The Score, send them to waiverwirequeen@gmail.com. The Score.